Welcome back to another lesson with me, Mr. B. In this lesson, we're going to look at how to wrap up our essays in a conclusion paragraph. Just like in the other lessons, we're going to look at the requirements of a concluding paragraph and go in depth with each of those parts. Then lastly, we're going to take a look at what not to say when you close out and wrap up, summarizing your essay. So conclusion requirements. Here's an overview of the elements that make up a concluding paragraph. So when concluding your essay, you'll want to restate your thesis, summarize your points, emphasize that so what, and finish off with some closing remarks. Now let's explore those parts of a conclusion in depth. Come full circle. Remind your readers what the importance or purpose of your thesis is, whether that's emphasizing how Star struggles with her voice, or recognizing the eyes of oppression, or noticing how systemic racism is perpetuated by certain characters. Then, summarize the points from your body paragraphs that you've made. And you can summarize that by answering, so what? What is the purpose of these eyes of oppression that I'm bringing up? Or what is the purpose of these examples showing that Star struggled to find her voice or find the power in her voice? And then address why it's important to discuss topics or issues like this. So why is it important to talk about systemic racism today, or Black Lives Matter, or police brutality? And this may flow into your closing remarks. And so in your closing remarks, you can ask yourself, how does this relate to what's happening in the world today? Provide some advice or offer a solution to the question your essay prompt asked. So if you're talking about the eyes of oppression, what are ways that we can resist internalization or interpersonal oppression, even institutional? Or what ways can we be more proactive about systemic racism and police brutality? Then you want to leave your reader with something to think about. Your essay is a conversation starter to spark thinking in your reader's mind. So when you're giving a speech, you want to leave something for the audience to think about. Maybe a final statement that summarizes why you believe that it's important to recognize systemic racism today, or understanding that there's power in who you are and your identity. I know this sounds super repetitive in summarize your points and summarize it again. How do I not repeat myself when going through this process? What not to say in a concluding paragraph. Number one, do not introduce a new point. So you're not here to add support for your argument anymore. You're here to hone in the points you've already made and emphasize why they're important. Number two, do not apologize. Stand by what you wrote. This is what you claim is right. It's what you analyze and what you're trying to prove. So if you think that Star doesn't struggle to find her voice, then stand by that. There's no need to apologize for the audience that might disagree with you. Or if you do believe that systemic racism is present and you feel like audience members don't agree with that, again, do not apologize. This is your claim. This is your essay. Stand by what you said. And number three, don't end vaguely or leaving the reader unsatisfied. This sometimes happens if the last sentence is not strong enough. So like I said earlier, if you presented this to an audience, what would you want your final words to be? And those are the four major components that this literary analysis, argument persuasive essay is comprised of. You have your intro to introduce those topics and state your purpose, appeals to persuade or convince your reader, the body paragraph that houses all of your evidence to support your purpose or thesis statement, and then the conclusion to wrap it all up and emphasize why these points are important. Conclusion paragraphs can get very repetitive, and you might often find yourself stuck thinking, but how do I say this differently? I already said it. I hope this conclusion overview gives you a better idea of what to write in your conclusion paragraph. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.